Good morning. One of the things when we come to Christology that we have to be careful of is that we properly identify Jesus, because there are competing visions of Christ, competing Christs in that sense. There's only one true Jesus. And yet, the way that various movements in the world describe him, it's easy for him to get lost in the shuffle of all the things that they want to glom on to him. And I think it's crucial for us to understand there's a difference where we don't explain who someone is based on their essential attributes. So like if somebody were to describe me as a 6'5" sumo wrestler, they would clearly have the wrong person. But if they describe me as a 5'8" pastor in West Jordan who has, let's say, a brown hair, it might be that they're just misunderstanding one of my non-essential features. So there are non-essential and essential features of Jesus. And sometimes what happens is there are various visions of Christ that really cut at the core of who he is, and those they get the core of who Jesus is wrong. When they do that, they're actually articulating a different kind of Jesus. And some of these emerge within the confines and within the context of Christianity. So years ago, I wrote a book called Tasty Jesus, and I cited 5 different visions of Christ in that book that have emerged in the Western world that we ought to be aware of. So over the next several days, I'd like to talk about some of those with you. But to do that effectively and to get there, we have to hear two verses, but one section of Scripture as we kind of launch out. This is 2 Corinthians 11, 3 and 4. But I am afraid that as the serpent deceived Eve by his cunning, your thoughts will be led astray from a sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if someone comes and proclaims another Jesus than the one we proclaimed, or if you receive a different spirit from the one you received, or if you accept a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it readily enough. If someone comes and proclaims another Jesus, like that's the Greek term allos, which is another of the same kind, or if you receive a heteros spirit, or a different gospel, heteros, an other gospel of a different kind. These words are interchangeable when they do have any distinction in meaning. As I mentioned, allos means another of the same kind, heteros means another of a different kind. The point that's being made in these verses is if somebody comes and explains a Jesus to you and it doesn't match up with the Jesus that is revealed in Scripture, guess what? They're wrong, and they are wrong on an essential matter of the faith, and therefore they could, for example, have the term Christian in their name, but that doesn't make them a Christ follower. They could call themselves that, but it wouldn't make them that any more than it would make them someone who knew me, who identified me as a sumo wrestler. Just because you have the name doesn't mean you have the right referent for the name. That's important. That distinction's important. And Christology very much is predicated on that nuance. So over the next little while, we'll look at some Christs that are cultural Christs that really are out of whack in how they talk about Jesus. So for now, know this today. It's important that you identify Jesus right, so that then you're worshiping the one true God the Son. May the Lord bless you.